The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked pavement outside Rosa's small diner in downtown Memphis. At 73 years old, Rosa Jenkins had seen countless souls pass through these streets, but none touched her heart quite like the young woman huddled beneath the faded awning across the road. Sarah Mitchell sat there every day with her 2-year-old daughter Emma, a tattered blanket their only shelter from the world's harsh realities. Rosa noticed them 3 months ago when autumn's chill first began creeping through the city streets. While other business owners shooed homeless people away, Rosa saw something different in Sarah's eyes. Despite the dirt smudging her cheeks and the exhaustion weighing down her shoulders, there burned a fierce determination to protect her child. Every morning around 11, Rosa would cross the street carrying a warm plate covered with aluminum foil. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, sometimes her famous cornbread still steaming from the oven. Sarah would weep quietly, whispering thank you over and over, while little Emma clapped her tiny hands with pure joy. Rosa never asked questions. She understood that everyone's story contained chapters too painful to read aloud. Sarah never volunteered information either, though Rosa caught glimpses of the truth. The way Sarah flinched when men walked too close. The hospital bracelet still clinging to Emma's small wrist. The college textbook tucked carefully in Sarah's backpack, its pages worn from countless readings. This young mother once had dreams, a future that somehow crumbled into this concrete reality. The other shop owners criticized Rosa's kindness. They claimed she encouraged vagrancy, that her generosity would attract more homeless people to their block. Rosa ignored their complaints. Her late husband Thomas taught her that compassion costs nothing but means everything. Besides, feeding Sarah and Emma gave Rosa purpose during these lonely years. Every smile from Emma, every grateful glance from Sarah, filled the emptiness left in Rosa's heart since Thomas passed. Winter arrived with brutal force, transforming Memphis streets into frozen corridors of survival. Rosa's concern for Sarah and Emma intensified as temperatures plummeted. She began bringing extra blankets, hot coffee in a thermos, and warm clothes her granddaughter had outgrown. Sarah accepted everything with trembling hands, her lips blue from cold despite Rosa's best efforts. Emma developed a cough that rattled Rosa's soul every time she heard it. The child needed medicine, proper shelter, a warm bed, but Sarah had nothing. Rosa started staying awake at night, her mind racing with worry. She thought about inviting them into her small apartment above the diner, but her building's strict landlord had threatened eviction before when Rosa tried helping another homeless family. She couldn't risk losing her home and business. Instead, Rosa did what she could, bringing medical supplies she purchased from the pharmacy, spending money from her meager savings account. Her daughter called from Atlanta, concerned about Rosa's dwindling finances, but Rosa couldn't abandon Sarah and Emma now. Then Sarah finally opened up one frigid December morning. Her voice cracked as she explained how everything fell apart. She had been studying nursing at the community college, working nights at a gas station, trying to build something better. Emma's father disappeared when he learned about the pregnancy. Sarah's parents, strict and unforgiving, threw her out when she refused to give Emma up for adoption. She had been managing barely, living paycheck to paycheck in a tiny studio apartment, until she got sick. Pneumonia landed her in the hospital for a week. She lost her job, then her apartment, then everything spiraled downward into this nightmare. Rosa listened with tears streaming down her weathered cheeks, her heart breaking for this young woman who deserved so much better. Sarah wasn't lazy or irresponsible. She was a victim of circumstances, of a system that offered no safety net for single mothers hanging by a thread. Rosa made a decision that moment. She would find a way to help Sarah properly, to give her and Emma a real chance at rebuilding their lives. She just needed to figure out how. Rosa started making phone calls, reaching out to every shelter, every charity organization, every church group she knew. The responses were disheartening. Every shelter was full, waiting lists stretched months long, requirements seemed impossible for Sarah to meet without an address or identification documents she'd lost. The system meant to help people seemed designed instead to keep them trapped in poverty's vicious cycle. Rosa refused to accept defeat. She contacted her old friend Margaret, who volunteered at the community center, begging for any resources or connections that might help. Meanwhile, Sarah's situation grew increasingly desperate. A group of teenagers harassed her one evening, stealing the blankets Rosa had provided, kicking over the small bag containing Emma's few belongings. Sarah held Emma close, shielding her daughter's body with her own, taking blows that would leave purple bruises across her back. Rosa found them the next morning, Sarah's face swollen, Emma crying inconsolably. Something inside Rosa snapped. She helped Sarah to her feet, defying her landlord's rules by bringing them into the diner's storage room. She set up a makeshift bed using tablecloths and cushions from the booth seating. For 2 weeks, Sarah and Emma stayed hidden in that storage room. Rosa brought them meals, let them use the diner's bathroom after hours to wash up, provided warmth and safety while continuing her search for permanent solutions. The other employees noticed but said nothing, their hearts also touched by the young mother's plight. However, Rosa knew this couldn't last. Her landlord made surprise inspections, and discovery would mean losing everything she'd worked for her entire life. The pressure was crushing, yet Rosa couldn't turn them back onto the streets. Then one afternoon in early January, Rosa received an unexpected phone call. Margaret had mentioned Sarah's story to someone, who mentioned it to someone else, and somehow the information reached a person who wanted to help. The caller wouldn't provide details over the phone but asked Rosa to have Sarah and Emma at the diner tomorrow at noon. Rosa felt suspicious yet hopeful, praying this wasn't some cruel prank or worse. She told Sarah about the call that evening, watching hope and fear battle across the young woman's exhausted face. The next morning arrived with bright sunshine that felt almost symbolic, rays of light piercing through winter's grey monotony. Rosa opened her diner at 6 as usual, her stomach churning with nervous anticipation. Sarah emerged from the storage room, having used precious soap to wash Emma thoroughly, brushing her daughter's curly hair until it shined. Rosa provided clean clothes, a pretty blue dress for Emma and a simple but dignified outfit for Sarah. Whatever happened today, they would face it with heads held high and dignity intact. The morning hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Finally, noon approached. Rosa stepped outside, scanning the street nervously while Sarah waited inside with Emma on her hip. Then Rosa's breath caught in her throat. 4 black SUVs with tinted windows turned onto their block, moving in perfect formation like some presidential motorcade. They pulled up directly in front of the diner, engines purring with expensive power. Rosa's heart hammered wildly. Was this good or terrifyingly bad? Had she made some horrible mistake trusting that mysterious phone call? The vehicle sat motionless for several long seconds while Rosa's mind raced through every possible scenario. The driver's door of the lead SUV opened, and out stepped a tall, elegant woman wearing a tailored navy suit and designer sunglasses. She moved with the confidence of someone accustomed to authority and respect. 2 security personnel exited from the other vehicles, scanning the area professionally. The woman approached Rosa with an extended hand and a warm smile that transformed her commanding presence into something approachable. She introduced herself as Victoria Chen, Executive Director of the Chen Foundation, a private charity organization funding initiatives across the country to help homeless families. Victoria explained that Margaret's friend worked for a local news station and had been investigating heartwarming human interest stories. When they heard about an elderly diner owner feeding a homeless mother and child daily despite her own financial struggles, they reached out to the Chen Foundation. Victoria specialized in identifying people who demonstrated true compassion and those who genuinely wanted to rebuild their lives. She came to Memphis personally because Sarah's story resonated deeply with her own past. Victoria herself had once been a homeless single mother, rescued by someone's kindness, and dedicated her life to paying that compassion forward through her foundation's work. Victoria asked to meet Sarah, and Rosa ushered everyone inside the diner, her hands shaking with overwhelming emotion. Sarah stood near the counter, clutching Emma protectively, her eyes wide with confusion and cautious hope. Victoria approached slowly, respectfully, understanding the trauma that made trust so difficult for someone in Sarah's position. She sat down at a booth and invited Sarah to join her, speaking in a gentle voice that gradually eased the tension from Sarah's shoulders. She listened to Sarah's complete story, nodding with understanding, never once showing judgment or pity, only respect for a mother who fought desperately to protect her child. Then Victoria explained why she came. The Chen Foundation wanted to offer Sarah a complete life restoration package. They would provide immediate housing in a furnished 2-bedroom apartment with 1 year's rent paid in advance. Sarah would receive a monthly stipend for living expenses while she completed her nursing degree, with all tuition and fees covered by the foundation. They would provide childcare for Emma at a quality daycare center, healthcare coverage for both, and job placement assistance upon graduation. Additionally, they would establish a small trust fund for Emma's future education. The only requirements were Sarah's commitment to finishing her degree and eventually helping another family facing similar circumstances once she was stable. Sarah couldn't speak. Tears poured down her face as the impossible became real before her eyes. Emma, sensing her mother's emotion, began crying too, though she was too young to understand that their lives had just transformed completely. Rosa wrapped her arms around both of them, weeping with joy and relief, thanking God and Victoria and everyone who made this miracle possible. Victoria smiled, explaining that Rosa's selfless compassion had literally saved Sarah and Emma's lives. Without Rosa's daily meals and protection, they might not have survived winter's brutal cold, and they certainly wouldn't have caught the Foundation's attention. Victoria then turned to Rosa with another surprise. The Chen Foundation wanted to partner with Hadina, funding a daily community meal program to feed other homeless individuals in the neighborhood. They would cover food costs, hire additional staff, and renovate the diner to accommodate more people. Rosa's simple act of kindness would now expand into something larger, helping countless others while ensuring Rosa's business thrived instead of struggling. As the afternoon sun streamed through the diner's windows, 4 lives connected by compassion were forever changed. Sarah and Emma finally had hope for their future. Rosa found renewed purpose and financial stability. And Victoria witnessed again how one person's goodness could create ripples of transformation that spread far beyond what anyone initially imagined, proving that kindness truly is the most powerful force in this world. Retry.